The safety is off. There's a round in the chamber. This is Armed Alabama. Sponsored by McCoy Outdoor Company, Mobile's hometown full-line outdoor sporting products and gear store. An interactive talk show discussing self-defense, product reviews, shooting tips, safety, and more. Your calls, comments, and texts welcome at 343-0106. Now, here are your hosts, retired judge and certified NRA instructor Rusty Johnston and certified NRA law enforcement instructor Adam Strange.
They're gonna pry these guns right out of my hands when they come to take them away. I believe in the rights that my fathers gave me when he signed the Constitution that day. No misguided president or crooked politician with a greasy pocket be spared. When the hard-working man gets tired of your cry, it's gonna rain wrath, beware. Don't tread on me, I'm American free. You're not gonna take it away. I stand up to fight for my freedoms and rights. That's the price you'll have to pay. Don't tread on me, I'm American free. Red-blooded to the core. You ain't ever had a fight in your life like the fight that you're itching for.
All right, welcome to Armed Alabama. Glad you could join us for this episode, August 28, 2018. So we got a good show for you tonight. Of course, as always, we talk about self-defense, firearm and ammo selection, home protection, concealed carry, training, proper range etiquette, and Alabama law, Mississippi law, and Florida law, and of course, U.S. Constitution and federal law. If you got a comment or a question for myself or for Judge Rusty Johnson, you can call us here at the studio, 251-343-0106. And be sure you check out our Facebook page because we are simulcasting on Armed Alabama Radio, FM Talk 1065. So when you go to our Facebook page, please like, save, and follow. And that way you'll be notified every time that we post something on our Facebook page or every time we go live. Also, we have a Twitter account. That's Armed Alabama 106.5. And a YouTube channel, simply Armed Alabama. Be sure to like and subscribe, and hopefully you'll be notified if we post something on YouTube. Of course, they've been blocking our content lately, Judge.
I think if we had more listeners or people subscribe, they'd probably be watching us more because it's amazing what they've been taking off.
Yeah, that's
but
always a
struggle. But you can still go to the Antifa sites, find out where the local riot is.
Yeah, whatever kind of mess you want to see, that's what's going to be on there. If you have if you would like to contact us after the show or something, you have a question or comment for us, you can email myself or the judge, Adam at armedalabama.com, or the judge at armedalabama.com. And again, if you have a comment or a question for us tonight here on Armed Alabama, give us a call to the studio, 251-343-0106, and you can call and text to that same number. You can also message us on Facebook as we're broadcasting live on our Facebook page, Armed Alabama Radio, FM Talk 1065.
Anybody that thinks that YouTube, Facebook, etc., has a equal hand on these things, go to YouTube and type in teen sex. And you couldn't put these on an FCC licensed television station. The scenes I'm seeing on YouTube. So, but have somebody explain how a gun works and you'll be banned. I mean, it's just incredible.
Absolutely incredible. And while we're talking about that, Judge, you and I discussed before we went on the air, right now there's a lot of news and talking heads are discussing, even the president has tweeted several times with the bias of not only news agencies but also social media companies and how they are censoring on Facebook. They're censoring conservative topics. They are effectively banning but it's a soft banning. They're not allowing the content to actually.
I'll put the study up. PJ Media has a article about that where they had some company that put in, for instance, Trump, and the first 100 listings were negative. It didn't matter how small the website was, so it wasn't about traffic. It was just obviously they've done the formula.
It was skewed, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the algorithms, not only for Twitter or Facebook or Google, if you go to a Google search ad, it's all skewed by
But you want the government to get involved, don't you? It's supposed to be the start of why we're going to say it's proper.
Well, I mean,
What I worry about is people who depend on social media as their sole source of news.
I think
well,
there's
there's
getting to
a
be a
lot of people, and it's getting more and more that way.
And it's a threat to our democracy.
There
it really is because informed citizens who are trying to find out what's going on in the world are having more and more difficulty getting a balanced report.
Surely
do you get a balanced
statistician-
report anywhere else on CNN or
Well, that's
CNBC or anything else?
But
like
you think on Google it's just doing it, arithmetically.
Yeah.
There's a statistician, I guess he was. He's been on Tucker Carlson a few times. He's written a paper how he says in an election, you got to have legitimate candidates. Google or any kind of search engine can sway the vote by 5 percentage points by just the rankings. And so you talk about collusion.
That's amazing.
But, the big argument is these are private companies. Well, number one, they're not. They're publicly traded
yep.
on the New York Stock Exchange.
It's like a public utility.
Well, yes and no. A public utility means there's only one source. Well, Google, there are 10 other. But they also, if I have my own hotel, restaurant, bake shop, I can't have a sign up that says no black people, no white people.
Yeah.
Because a law was passed pursuant to the Commerce Clause. If you're doing business in interstate commerce, you can't discriminate against people based on race, sex, national origin. You can easily pass any telecommunications company that's doing business in interstate commerce cannot da-da-da-da. And it's the same principle. They want to have their cake and eat it too, and they are immune from libels. Well, you can sue them. You're not going to win because they have billed themselves as a platform where anybody can post their ideas. We're not endorsing them. Well, now they're endorsing them if they're going through and removing content. So if I put something up, my dentist has HIV, and then name and address. Under normal laws, I obviously could be sued for libel, but the way it used to be, Facebook could not be. But now I think they could because they're censoring other forms of speech on there.
But, Judge, it goes further than that. They are using different groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center.
It's totally illegitimate.
Left-wing organizations to monitor conservative topics or conservative groups, conservative content. And that is like the wolf guarding the hen house.
There is so much I've learned on gun channels, mainly about putting a gun back together or parts I could change out, or that type thing.
Yeah.
And I know who the people are legitimate and the ones that aren't. You can tell the ones that are just advertising for somebody. But I know that Ruger 2245 Mark III, whatever it is, great gun. I could have never gotten them back together had there not been a YouTube video. It is so complicated. Charlie, how much time we got?
About a minute and a half.
I showed Adam these. The cobbler's children never have shoes, so I finally said, I need to check my door hinges to see if they're long enough. These are the, what's that, 3/4 maybe?
Not very big.
That were in it, 3/4 of an inch.
Yep.
And these are what I've replaced it with. I would go longer. This is 2, but I have some molding
this is
issues.
to better fortify your doors within your house or exterior
but
doors.
I had the 3/4.
That's the big difference.
Yeah.
And I actually did the same thing, and I split the door casing. I forgot to
well, that's when I had the longer ones. I kind of drilled a little through.
The hole.
Yeah. Well, you can see the small one actually has a little notch cut in it to help cut the wood.
Yeah.
to allow it to go in easier. So.
And by the way, our friend that has the kind of the door blocking system, I think you left me a message, but I could hardly hear it, so I couldn't hear your name and phone number. They had the equivalent to the barricade or whatever you call it at your door. So give me a call back tomorrow and talk louder too, or you can text
You're
my
talking
phone
about
number.
the brace you put up under the doorknob?
Yeah, it's similar to that. It's kind of well, nothing's permanent, but it's more permanent than that. But you can use them both. They all, but you need something special on your safe room, else on your door. And I've been exploring a lot of those past week, and we'll talk about that after the break. But we'll be back with more of Armed.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
Little pigs, let me come in. Not by the hair on your chinny chin chin. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in.
You would have the authority to shoot Jack Nicholson as he chopped through your door with an axe, screaming he was going to kill you. So, we usually tell people, obviously, don't shoot through a door. Because it might be a policeman coming to rescue you.
It's not so much just that. Make sure you identified it as a threat first.
Exactly. But somebody chopping through with an axe.
Oh, yeah.
Who's a homicidal maniac.
You have
pretty much got
identified.
that figured out.
Yeah.
He's an imminent threat.
Even if he looks like Jack Nicholson.
Adam, I just posted on the Facebook page a sign from Waffle House. our Alabama's favorite breakfast place, perhaps. But you notice they have a fake sign, and I say it's fake because it has no legal authority in the state, that alcoholic beverages and firearms are permitted. Like they're in the same class. By the way, alcohol kills about 5 times as many people each year as firearms do.
In the parking lot only.
Well, let's see. So customer parking only. Well, that could be one way to view it, but you have to get in the parking lot to get into the restaurant. But the reason I brought it up is they had that shooting in Nashville,
Right.
In May, and of course, as John Lott points out, over 90% of the active shooter, mass shooters since 1950 have been in no-gun zones. And because you're just telling people, there are no guns in here, you got easy target. By the way, the place down in Florida, I don't know, it was a video archive. I'm not into that. But it has, I've got its picture posted on it. I'll post it too. But it's called Jacksonville Landing, Rules of Conduct, Possession of a Weapon, even if legally carried, except by law enforcement officers, is absolutely prohibited on landing property, blah, blah, blah. So, looks like one person didn't pay attention to that one. So,
well, there's lots of signs like that, and just like you said, that they have no.
Here they have no force of law,
exactly.
and I think it's happened in Florida. Somebody, because I've been waiting for these lawsuits. Hey, you put up the sign, and there's kind of an implied duty for you, especially in this state now, because they shouldn't have the sign. You can't have the sign unless you have security guards and either a biometric scanner, card key device, metal detector, which gives you some level of safety. So you're giving up your right to bring a gun in exchange for having some minimal safety there.
Right. It's not just one or the other. It's all.
Right. And so if they've told you that, you think, okay, I'm going to be okay in here, and you go in and you get shot. So I'm ready. That's a way to break up the nonsense. Businesses don't have any legal liability at all by not having any sign. Somebody can bring in whatever they can legally carry, and you start regulating that. Then you say, no one's allowed to come in here with a communicable disease. Well, I think that makes more sense. But how are you going to enforce that? And then if you do nothing to enforce it, you're going to get sued for, hey, you put up the sign, said you were going to do it, and you did nothing. So something to think about. We got an interesting text.
Yes, sir. We've got a text here that says, I am very new to concealed carry. Do you have any tips for beginners? So we have
First, watch The Sopranos. Do that. One thing is, by the way, it's a new study that we've got the highest number of concealed carry permits ever that are out in the United States. And, of course, that doesn't include people who are carrying constitutionally, so even more. But I would tell him, assuming his lifestyle permits it, to try to get in the habit of carrying all the time. Because you're just going to feel very odd at first, but the more you carry it, the more natural it feels. Make sure you get a good holster. Don't get the cheapest one that Academy sells. Good holster that it gives some kind of security. If you want to check it out, put your gun in it empty, roll around on the floor, and see if your gun comes out. If it does, get another holster.
Exactly.
And make sure it covers the trigger, too.
And make sure you're proficient with that firearm. If you take a class, a concealed carry class or a firearm class, or if
a lot of people take a safety class, which is good.
Which is good as well, but
it's not concealed carry.
Yeah, it's not like a concealed carry or a defense class. So we definitely recommend you do that if you plan to conceal carry, and you'll be comfortable with that firearm if you take a class like that, especially to judge the one that you and I have taught in the past, and hopefully we'll teach some more in the future.
I vote when it gets below 88.
Because we regularly shoot 300, 350 rounds in our class, and you definitely won't get to the level of proficiency that you need just with those fewer rounds, but still it gives you a good start to build that skill set and continue to build that skill set as you go to the range over and over, and
if you're carrying a semi-auto, carry a round in the chamber.
That's exactly what I was getting to. If once you build up that confidence, that level of confidence, carry that firearm with a round in the chamber. How many times, Judge, have we run across individuals that do not carry a round in a chamber, and it's dangerous?
It is amazing, and
you
will not find a police department in this country that
you put yourself at a disadvantage. If you ever have to draw your firearm, you're going to be under duress, under stress.
You may be in a fight.
And chances are you are not going to remember to rack the slide, loading a round into the chamber. Yep.
I think most people are thinking of old. First of all, they're thinking of older single-action revolvers. In the cowboy days when you had an empty chamber under the hammer because you might fall off the horse and it might. But newer ones like that, they have the firing pin block. But I won't say everyone because SIG had that problem. Since 2000, almost all gun pistols, semi-autos, have been drop tested and are not going to fire by themselves. You just got to practice not putting your finger on your trigger until you're ready to shoot. Just index it along the frame. It only takes, they've done studies, like an eighth of a second. And it's pretty easy. Listen, if I learned that, anybody can. And you just learn it. But a lot of people will throw their, let's say, a small 380, just throw it in their pocket. It'll get turned around. And then when they need it, which is, 3 seconds or less perhaps, they're digging in there, trying to get it out, and they may have lint, jammed in it or something. Before we go to a break, I want to thank one of our advertisers right now, Steve Moore. He's a personal injury lawyer here in Mobile. My friend went to law school with me, a Mobilian, and you can see him at the Moore Law Firm or visit him online at www.moorelawfirm.al.com. Personal injuries, car wrecks, product liabilities, neighbors, tree falls on your house, or you. I guess if it's you, it doesn't matter. Steve's a good guy, and tell him that you heard about him on Armed Alabama. Did we have another? Okay, we got to. You need to know the law too. Now that's a big. The best place to go, I think, is handgunlaw.us, and I never remember what this laws are. Let me type it. It's got an S or not. But it has the law for every state, or for $1.99, you can get the phone app, Concealed Carry. I'll get the name of it, Workman Technology, but handgunlaw.us. No S on it. They have the law, and they have the law of the state you're going to. You need to know that, too. If we got time to hear, Randy's there, and he's calling about Beretta 92 holster, which I am actually wearing one. Hey, Randy.
You are wearing one.
Okay. Are you by the Facebook?
I do.
Okay. can you? I'll get over here and see if I. Barbara, can you get?
But we can't hear you way over there.
Yeah, that's right. Let's switch mics. All right. If we got a picture of it.
I'm not on Facebook.
Well, you
right
can
now.
look.
I'm
You can
driving
look.
right now.
Look tomorrow. I carry mine in one of these level 3 Kydex with Serpa holster, which requires.
It's inside you carry it inside your belt line or outside?
I carry it outside, and when I want to conceal it, I'm kind of messy looking and have a shirt tail out or something. It's hot like it is.
See, I'm trying to put mine inside my belt line, like in the small of my back or up around near my right hip.
Yeah, I try to go for the right hip, by the way, because the problem with the small of the back, a lot of shootings happen during a fight, and you get kicked down, and your spine has just hit that gun. It's a fine gun. Super Tuck Deluxe is a good inside the waistband, and you want to keep that.
And they are comfortable.
Well, I don't think any of them are comfortable, frankly, inside the waistband. But I got a few pounds.
I know I got to take into account. That's a large gun that you're carrying.
Yeah. Now, if you're picking a gun and like that gun, check out the Beretta PX Storm pistol. It's a little smaller, and my son has one. I like the heck out of it, so it may be a little better for you. But if you already got the 92,
is it the same capacity that carries?
Yeah. I mean, you'll have the regular size one will carry 15 or 18 rounds. But it's a smaller gun, and actually it's less recoil to it. It's a much newer design. The Beretta PX Storm. Now they've got that one. Then they've got the compact and the ultra compact. So don't let that confuse you. I'm only familiar with the regular size.
Oh, I don't get confused. I do my research on my weapons.
Yeah, I can tell. But check that out, and but that's
but
at least.
But
But if
the
somebody,
thing is, I was looking at the Super Tuck cross draw,
yeah,
Yes.
and man, that's an expensive holster.
Well-
Man, I ain't got a whole lot of money to be throwing away on holsters just to find out I don't like it.
well, that's the problem.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I tell you what.
Alienware is another good company you can check out. And again, of course, it can be a little pricey, but it's not as pricey as,
Hey, Randy,
as
I'm
Super
gonna-
Tuck Deluxe.
I'm going to put Philip on the line with you and get your phone number. I got a whole box of holsters, and I probably have some for the 92 that I don't use that you can try out. So hold on, and Philip, if you'll get.
Okay.
So the problem is Randy, is you like myself, I've had to try 5 or 6 different holsters before I found one that I like, and the one that I like the best is the one I had custom made. So,
But it wasn't as expensive as you thought.
no, it was.
Randy,
it wasn't.
give your info to Phil, and I'm sure I've got some you can try.
Them ball holsters, man, they're expensive.
Oh, let me tell you, this one I'm wearing now that looks like a piece of cheap plastic is probably $50. So, but get Phil will get you right now, and we've got to run to a break.
I think I have one of those. It's one of those ones that's got the screws and stuff in it. It's got the finger push button to unlock.
Right.
Yep.
Because it catches it by the trigger loop.
You got
Right.
it.
Yep, that's a Serpa.
And you see a lot of law enforcement carrying those
Yep.
now.
It's because if, let's say, I worked at the courthouse, if I had a prisoner jump me, he'd have a hell of a time getting that gun away from me because I got a good gun belt and that holster on. That's
Right.
the reason.
Yeah, I've got one of those right now. It's got the spring-loaded plastic clip that goes on the inside.
I can't remember. We got to run to a break. Randy, we'll give you some more info when we get back, but give your info to Phil before you hang up.
Okay.
All right.
I sure will.
Thank you. We'll be back with more of Armed Alabama.
This program is a production of Armed Alabama, LLC. The comments and views of the hosts are those of Armed Alabama, LLC, for which it is solely responsible. The view and comments of the callers, guests, and texters do not necessarily represent the views of the sponsors or advertisers of Armed Alabama, LLC, or of Armed Alabama, LLC, Bigler Broadcasting, LLC, FM Talk 1065, or WAVH. No comments from Judge Rusty Johnston should be taken as legal advice, but as educational information. Judge Johnston is not engaged engaged in the practice of law and should not be sought out to answer legal questions off the air. Seek legal advice from a qualified attorney who knows the complete specifics of your legal matter.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
You smell that? Napalm, son! Nothing else in the world smells like that. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Smells like victory.
Welcome back to Armed Alabama. Glad you could join us tonight for the night show. If it was not for our sponsor, we wouldn't be able to have a show. And we would like to thank our sponsors, Dr. Justin Foster's at Foster's Chiropractic in Tillman's Corner, McCoy Outdoors. They are definitely the place that you want to go and visit to pick out a new firearm. If you're a concealed carry holder, or if you're looking to conceal carry or buy a firearm that suits you, then definitely McCoy Outdoors is the place to go. Those guys and gals can help you find the right firearm. Yes.
I've been places where one in particular, I won't give the name of the big box store, but they had a gun just like I had that a friend of mine wanted, but it was the same. It was like on sale, and it had night sights on this gun, which usually had $75. And I said, are the night sights included at that price? And they're just a middle-aged man, no answer. He schemed 3 times, and I finally said, you don't know what I'm talking about, do you? And he finally acknowledged it. I thought, why didn't he say I'll have to check when he just thought I would forget? So they wouldn't ask it. They would know the answer to that at McCoy's.
Definitely. And
And they have used guns there, some good used guns, and they also have a gunsmith, Doug, down there where if you just need a gun cleaned, which nobody ever does that properly, or you need, parts fixed or replaced, you can see Doug down there at McCoy's, which is Spring Hill Avenue, just west of the I-65 overpass where K&B used to be.
That's right. And when you go to McCoy Outdoors, tell them Armed Alabama sent you. All right, Judge, during the break, we had several messages on Facebook as we're broadcasting on Facebook Live.
When I said Know Your Law,
sure.
The name of that program for either an Android or an Apple is CCW, like Concealed Carry, whatever, CCW by Workman Technologies. You can get it either on the Google Store or on the iTunes Store, wherever. So $1.99. So
it's a good app.
It is a great app, and now I think he charges 50 cents a year for an update. It has been doing it free, and I thought, how could he ever make any money?
So, Judge, during the break, we had several different messages from Facebook because we are broadcasting on Facebook Live on Armed Alabama Radio, FM Talk 106.5. So we had a couple of messages here. So one of them was a really good, actually 2 of them was really good questions, and we'll address those. It says, does Alabama have a stand your ground law?
Yes, we do. And I'll just tell you briefly what that is. Until it was adopted, it did. If you were anywhere outside your home, you had a duty. If you were in a situation where you thought you had the right to use deadly force, you had the duty to retreat if you could do so in complete safety. I mean, nothing required you to climb down a cliff to get away from guy with an axe. But you got to be reasonable about that. And I always give the example, you're sitting in your car, it's running, you got the air conditioning going, and from 50 yards away, you see someone running at you with a machete screaming, I'm going to kill you. You can stand your ground, and when he gets within striking distance, shoot him dead. But, that just doesn't sound reasonable, and I wouldn't rely on that defense because I think a jury's going to say, why didn't you just give it some gas and drive away? But, yeah, we do, and it just requires no retreat, and it's worked out real good. It hadn't caused the Old West. It's clarified the law when you're trying a case that you don't have a duty to run away and get in situations. You can stand where you're legally allowed to.
Okay, Judge, the next question we have is by Brett. He said, if someone is unarmed and threatens physically, can you use lethal force or do you let them beat the hell out of you first?
Well, that's a good question. Beat the hell out of you, to me, implies death or serious physical injury.
Yep.
And you can use deadly force if you have a reasonable fear that the attacker is going to impose death or serious physical injury on you. The typical case might be your 78-year-old man on a walker, and there's a 22-year-old thug who could rip you in half, and he says, "I'm going to rip you in half, old man." And yeah, you could shoot him. But if it's a 14-year-old kid and you're 28 and a bodybuilder, and the 14-year-old says, "I'm going to punch you out, mister," that's probably not going to work. It's what's reasonable. But no, there's no requirement the other person has to be armed. And I use it this way, water can be a source of life. You're about to die of thirst. Hey, here's your water. Or frozen, in a frozen form, it can be a 50-pound block that you can knock somebody over the head as a deadly weapon then. So it just depends on the circumstance.
Yeah, it really is.
But choose life.
Always. Always.
Adam, one of the reasons I have this phone, I'll go through it quickly, just to remind everybody it's hurricane season, and this phone plugs directly into the wall, and it gets the power to operate. And it does have a caller ID. You have to put a AA battery in or something. But it runs if the power's off and the phone lines are up. So many people either have cell phones and or the electronic phones in your house, with the base and all. Those go out. The cell, it depends on the winds, but the electric phones that operate with base stations, they go out. If there's a hurricane, you can buy something like this, I'm sure, for $15. And it's also great for giving radio interviews on because it's a good, clear voice. But just remember to get one that runs off the phone line.
So many people do not have a phone line anymore.
I
don't.
I know
phone,
that.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not sure why I do, because only calls that come in are dozens every day from solicitors. It's really incredible. Adam, since I brought these in, let me just show them real quick. Everybody asks about what gun should I have for my home. Now, obviously, that's different. If some people need a gun they can carry and for home and whatever. The key, though, is the shorter the better. This is a Tavor, an IWI Tavor. It's the shortest you can legally have, 28 inches. It takes AR-15 magazines. I mean, it's really a heck of a gun. It's fairly expensive, though, but see how short I can get through any opening. And also got all these different points of contact on it. So you have to start shooting. I'm not going to be shaking with one hand on a pistol and one hand on a flashlight because I have a flashlight on it. And you see this is unloaded. It's got a chamber flag. And even have a green dot and even have a red dot optical in there.
Judge, does that weapon have a lot of recoil?
No.
Because I've seen some similarly built that you really had to lean into them.
I would say it doesn't because it's fairly heavy towards the back. Now here is a good, and it's a little older, home defense or combat shotgun. This is the Beretta 1201. Yeah, 1201. But the problem is it's, 40 inches probably overall. And there's some doors you actually can't get through if you're panicking and look at that, run the wrong way. This probably holds 7 rounds at the most.
In that tube below the barrel?
Yeah, that, and then one in the chamber.
Yep.
I've got this set up right now with 2 30-round magazines. They're empty, of course. But if you don't have all the money in the world, get the High Point carbine aftermarket. There's a 20-round magazine for it. You can get that for $325. But you got to have something you can maneuver around your house in if you have to leave your safe room. And that's why we have these screws showing how to get your safe room secure and your front door and back door. But lock them first of all.
All right, we'll be.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
What we've got here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach. So you get what we had here last week, which is the way he wants it. Well, he gets it.
Any more than you men.
Any more than you men.
He was late with his line. Want to remind everybody, if you have a personal injury question, go see Steve Moore at the Moore Law Firm. They're at 8 North Dearborn Street, and you can call them at 251-445-7602. They're native Mobilians, and their office is here in Mobile. You're not calling some number in California. We got a good question about night sights.
Yeah, Judge. We got a few minutes left in the show. If you got a comment or question, you can give us a call here, 251-343-0106. You can call or text to that same number. So, Judge, we have a question regarding night sights. His buddy asked, please explain night sights.
What night sights, sometimes they can be the old glow-in-the-dark paint like I have here. Tape you can buy, which you ought to put on your flashlights in your house in case you have a hurricane. But most, and this does not have it, the Beretta M9, but they'll have tritium, which is, it looks very similar to this. It's actually a non-dangerous radioactive material that is in the sights, and it kind of glows green. And the theory is, well, that most shootings or a lot of shootings take place twilight or night. It'll help you shoot. The longer I live, the more I think it's just kind of a waste. I wouldn't give a gun away that had one, but I don't know if I'd pay extra because most gunfights take place in almost split seconds, and you hardly have any time, if any, to aim in the daytime, and I don't think you're going to be aiming using the tritium glow. You could be, but that's what they are. The only downside, and it's not a big downside, is tritium being radioactive has got about a 10-year half-life. In 10 years, your glow is half of what it was. So you either need to think about, if it's a good manufacturer, sending it back, they can renew it, or replacing them probably after around 12, 13 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things that we teach to the individuals teaching our class or attending our class is we teach using a body alignment shooting, which, if you can, you definitely want to pick up the sights, but with body alignment shooting, you're using your whole body to naturally point the firearm.
You separate and you're 30, 40 feet away behind a barricade, sure.
Yes. Now, at that distance, you definitely want to use your sights, and to make a headshot, you definitely want to use your sights.
5, 6, 10 feet, read a study at Force Science, I'll put it up if I can remember, that said when they did testing of experienced police shooters, not just the average, experienced, and naive CCW holders, meaning they don't go out and practice, 15 feet or less, the hits were identical. Now, you got over 15 feet, the practice were much better, but most shootings are 15 feet or less.
Yes.
So, you're just pointing. I've got a World War II, a documentary, not training tape, that shows training. I guess they were OSI agents or some kind of saboteurs in the U.S. Army, and they're showing, they called it instinctive shooting that Colonel Applegate came up with. It's just the same. You're just pointing, just like the kids do with the video games. Did we have another one that came in on the studio text line?
Yeah, we've got a text here. I was just kind of looking over it, and I'll just read it straight to you, Judge, and see what you say on this.
Unless it says something bad about me.
It might say that as well. It says, Judge, I own a private land. If I am hunting and someone walks by with a gun poaching, do I have to have a confrontation before I shoot them if they are trespassing on posted private-owned property? Is this the fact that they have a firearm and or camouflage trespassing give me everything I need to protect myself?
In a word, no, and that's why game wardens are so cautious. They're going up to people who are armed, who could kill them in a second, and saying, could I check and see if you have a hunting license? I wouldn't want to do that. And the fact that he's in camouflage and armed ought to maybe send you a signal, hey, he's a hunter, he's not a killer. I know what he's getting at, but now you've really got to say, hey, this land's posted, I need you to get off, or something.
And you can't cover every single trail with posted signs. Somebody could walk in between two signs and never see them.
That's why you put fences up, barbed wire. But you don't have to be crazy about it. You don't have to get where he's turned and swung around. If he, starts putting a shell in his gun, let's say, and turning towards you, I would consider that threatening.
Yeah, definitely threatening.
You don't have to wait to an actual physical, but you can't just shoot him in the back as he walks by as well.
All right, Judge, we got a caller. Peter's calling from Pensacola. Hi, Peter. Welcome to Armed Alabama.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've called in. And I hope you can hear me because right now my cell signal sounds like bad 70s science fiction sound effects.
We like that. I see you got a good question or a comment, site reflections at night, reflection at night. You know, a friend of mine told me when he was in a hotel room at his night sites, it was like a snake over there with two glowing eyes.
I put the TFO night sights on my wife's Glock 42.
Yeah.
I have the standard Glock sights, but if I'm doing my dry fire exercise and there's some reflection off a white wall, I lose that sight in it, or if I turn towards the light.
Yeah.
And so I've actually considered getting one of the other ones because, you know, especially like an XS big dot sight.
Yeah.
You know, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens.
If I can just help myself that much more.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's why, you know, I go into, if you have steel on steel, you know, let's say 1980s sights, to paint the front sight red or white so you can have a contrast. So, you know, I think they're one of those things that there's more hype than there is any kind of science behind it. But, you know, it's like lasers. They're really not going to do you much good. I've got several lasers, and I'm not counting on them to scare away anybody by putting a laser on their chest. That's probably when they shoot me in the head when I put a laser on them. But, you know, under that rare circumstance, it might be helpful.
Right.
All right, Peter, we got to go, and you're breaking up on us. Call us next week.
I'll do my best.
Thank you so
gentlemen.
much.
Thanks for keeping the show on the air.
Yeah, sure. Adam, we got a few. If we talked about all our one person I want to talk about, we were Hunter Security. Listen, if all you get from them is one of these doorbell cameras, think about that because you open your door like most people still do. You don't know whether it's the UPS man or somebody who's escaped from the penitentiary, and you need to know that, and you can get those pretty reasonably.
Yeah, of course, the last caller mentioned, he says, thank you for keeping the show on the air. And we wouldn't be on the air if it wasn't for our sponsors. So I'll just go ahead and give them all a shout-out real quick. Dr. Justin Foster, Foster Chiropractic, McCoy Outdoors, Ace Hardware Stores, Spring Hill, Creola, and Moffett locations, the law office of Matt Green, Hanson Heating and Air, Mike Ward's Liberty Safe, and, of course, Steve Moore Law Firm, and Hunter Security. If you would like to advertise your business here on Armed Alabama, we'd be glad to meet with you and discuss how we can help you in your business, especially if it pertains to security or firearms or whatever, all of the above. We have lots of a diverse audience, and we can definitely help you out. You can email me, Adam@armedalabama.com, or the judge at armedalabama.com.
We're bad to the bone, right? If you're looking on Facebook, you'll see my sticker on the back of the computer.
On the back of your computer.
That was the theme song with, I think, the first Terminator. We'll see you next week, 7 p.m. on Armed Alabama.